Police work teaches you rules, procedures, protocols, lines you don't cross. But some calls aren't meant to be answered. Some districts don't exist. And some places only stay quiet because no one survives long enough to report what's really there. Tonight, we follow law enforcement into places they were never meant to patrol. Our first story comes from a town that learned the hard way why some roads get ignored. If dispatch ever sends you into the Barrens, don't go looking for the injured. They're not the ones in danger. I've got 4 months left until my retirement. 4 months of night shifts in Pine Hollow, where the back roads cut through the sections of forest so thick, the pines lean over the asphalt like they're trying to meet in the middle. No streetlights out here. Just your headlights, the yellow line, whatever's waiting in the dark between the trees. I've worked this beat for 23 years. I know every pothole, every blind curve, and every place where kids park to drink or worse. I know which houses call in noise complaints and which ones we roll past without slowing down. I know the Barrens, or I thought I did. It was a Tuesday in October when dispatch forwarded me the call, 2:47 a.m. I was parked in a lot behind the shuttered BP station, halfway through a thermos of coffee that had gone cold an hour ago, when the radio crackled.
Unit 12, we get a report of an injured person on Barren Road, approximately 2 miles past the turnoff from Route 9. Caller states they're unable to move and requesting assistance.
I keyed the radio. Copy that. Caller give a description of injuries? Static. Then?
Caller disconnected. Phone number came back to a disconnected line.
That should have been my first warning. 10-4, en route. I put the cruiser in gear and pulled onto Route 9. The road was empty. It always is at this hour. Pine Hollow doesn't have much nightlife, unless you count the deer that jump out in front of your bumper, or the occasional drunk stumbling home from Mackey's bar. The drive to Barren Road takes about 15 minutes from the BP station. 15 minutes of nothing but darkness and trees pressing in from both sides. Route 9 is straight enough during the day, but at night, it plays tricks on you. The trees make shadows that look like movement. The fog banks that settle in the low spots and make you slow down to a crawl. I've made this drive 1,000 times, 10,000 times. But tonight, something felt different. The radio was too quiet. Usually there's chatter. State police checking in. Dispatch handling noise complaints. Tonight there was nothing. Just static and the hum of my tires on asphalt. I checked my mirrors. No headlights behind me. No taillights ahead. Just me and the empty road. The pines got taller as I drove. Older. The kind that had been there since before the town was founded. Before the roads were paved. Some of them have trunks so wide, 3 men couldn't wrap their arms around them. They stand like sentinels, watching traffic pass, patient and ancient, and completely indifferent to human concerns. My headlights caught something on the shoulder. Just a flash. Probably a deer. But when I glanced in my rearview mirror, I could have sworn I saw a figure standing there. Tall, motionless. I looked again. Nothing but empty road. The turnoff on Barren Road appeared on my right. No sign. No reflectors. Just a gap in the trees, and a strip of cracked asphalt disappearing into the dark. I slowed and made the turn. Barren Road is what we call a nothing road. It doesn't go anywhere important. It cuts through a section of state forest that locals call the Barrens because nothing much grows there except pine trees. Tall ones. Old ones. The kind that block out the sky, even in daylight. The road itself is barely wide enough for 2 cars to pass. No shoulder to speak of. Just pavement, then dirt, then trees. If you break down out there, you're walking back to Route 9, or waiting for a tow that might take an hour to arrive. The fog was starting to roll in, thick and low. The kind that swallows sound and turns the world into a gray of nothing. I slowed down, scanning both sides of the road, My speedometer dropped to 20, then 15. The trees seemed closer here. Their branches reached over the road like they were trying to touch. In my peripheral vision, they looked like arms, like fingers. I shook my head. 23 years on this job and I was getting spooked by trees? My radio squelched.
Jack?
It was Moreno, my usual night shift backup. He sounded tense. Yeah?
You heading to that call on Barren Road?
That's affirm. Silence. Long enough that I almost called his name again.
Be careful out there.
I frowned. It's just an injury call, Lewis. Probably some kid who wrecked his four-wheeler.
Yeah,
He didn't sound convinced.
just be careful.
You sound weird. Everything all right? Another pause.
Jack, how long have we worked together?
12 years. Why?
You trust me?
Of course.
Then turn around. No dispatch, you can't locate the subject. Clear the call and head back to Route 9.
I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the October cold. Lewis, what's going on?
Please, I'm asking you, as a friend, turn around.
I'm almost at the location. If someone's hurt...
No one's hurt.
His voice sounded final.
No one's ever hurt out there.
What does that mean? The radio went quiet. I drove another mile. The fog thickened. My headlights barely punched through it now, turning everything 10 feet ahead into a wall of white. I slowed into a crawl. That's when I saw the figure, standing on the shoulder of the road, just standing there, facing me. I hit the brakes and put the cruiser in park, leaving the engine running. My spotlight cut through the fog. The figure didn't move, didn't raise a hand to shield their eyes. It just stood there. I keyed the radio. Unit 12, I got a visual on a subject at the scene. Single individual. Appears to be standing. No vehicle visible.
Copy that, Unit 12.
I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out of the cruiser. The cold hit me immediately. October in Pine Hollow gets down to the 30s at night. My breath fogged in front of my face. The silence was absolute. No wind, no insects, no animals. Nothing but my own breathing and the idle of my cruiser's engine.
Pine Hollow Police.
I called out.
Are you the one that called for help?
The figure didn't respond. I walked closer, flashlight up. The beam caught details. Male, average height, wearing jeans and a dark jacket. His head was tilted at an odd angle, like he was trying to look at something on the ground. Sir, are you injured? He spoke, his voice calm, flat, like he was reading from a script. I can't stand. But he was standing. I stopped walking.
Sir, you appear to be standing right now. Can you tell me what happened?
I can't stand. Please, send police. The exact same phrasing, the exact same inflection. I swept my flashlight across the ground around him. No blood, no skid marks, no vehicle. The shoulder was packed with dirt and pine needles. I should have seen tire tracks, footprints, something. Instead, I saw prints, deep ones, pressed into the dirt like something heavy had been standing there for a long time. But the prints were wrong. Too many of them, clustered together in a pattern that didn't match human feet. Sir, I'm gonna need you to turn around slowly and show me your hands. He didn't move. Then, from the trees behind him, I heard it. Crying. A woman's voice, muffled and distant.
Hello?
I aimed my flashlight at the tree line. The beam disappeared into the dark. The pines were too close together, too thick. I couldn't see more than a few feet in.
Ma'am, this is Pine Hollow Police. Can you come toward my voice?
The crying stopped. The man in front of me tilted his head in the other direction. The movement was smooth. Too smooth. Like his neck didn't have the same joints as mine. "I can't stand," he said again. My radio crackled. Moreno's voice, tight and urgent.
"Jack, you still at the scene?"
I keyed the radio without taking my eyes off the figure.
"Affirm. I got a possible second subject in the woods. Requesting backup." "Negative. Stay in your vehicle."
"Lewis, I got someone in the trees who might be injured."
"Jack."
His voice dropped.
"Don't go into the trees. Don't approach the subject. Get back in your cruiser."
"What the hell are you talking about?"
"Listen to me very carefully. Whatever that thing is saying, whatever it sounds like, it's not hurt. It isn't human. And if you get too close, it won't let you leave the same way."
My mouth went dry. "Lewis,
I need you to walk back to your vehicle. Don't turn your back on it. Don't fucking take your eyes off it. And for God's sake, don't help it up if it falls."
You're not making sense."
"Jack, I found something in your locker last week. A notepad with your handwriting. You need to get back in your car so I can explain."
The figure in front of me shifted its weight. When it did, I saw its legs. They bent wrong. Not backward, not broken, just wrong. Like there were too many joints. Like the knees could bend in directions they shouldn't. I took a step back. "Officer Mercer," the figure said. I hadn't told it my name. "You're taking a long time." My hand went to my sidearm. "Identify yourself." It didn't answer. Instead, it took a step toward me. The movement was all wrong. Its leg bent at the knee. Then it bent again, halfway down the shin. Then again at the ankle. 3 joints where there should have been 1.
"Jack, what's happening?"
Moreno's voice was frantic now. "It's moving, Lewis. Its legs. There's something wrong with its legs."
"Get in the car, now."
The figure took another step. I could see its face now in the spill of my flashlight. Human features. Eyes. Nose. Mouth. But the proportions were just slightly off. The eyes were too far apart. The mouth was too wide. And when it smiled, I saw too many teeth, row after row of them, crowding its mouth like they'd been installed by someone who didn't understand how human teeth worked. I backed toward the cruiser, slowly, keeping my flashlight on the figure. "Officer Mercer," it said. "You're almost done working." "How do you know my name?" "You told me. Last time. And the time before that. My heel hit the edge of the pavement. I was almost to the cruiser."
"Jack, can you reach the door?"
The figure tilted its head again. This time, I heard something pop, like joints cracking, but louder and more wet. "They send new ones," it continued. "They always do. Young ones. They smell different, taste different." I grabbed the door handle. The figure lunged. Not running, not walking. It moved like a spider, all its joints bending wrong, propelling it forward faster than anything human-shaped should move. I yanked the door open and threw myself inside, slammed it shut, hit the locks. The figure crashed against my window, its face pressed against the glass. I could see it clearly now in the dome light. The skin wasn't skin at all. It was something else. Something that had been stretched and shaped to look like skin. And underneath, I could see the framework. Branches, pine branches, woven together in the approximate shape of a person.
"Jack, answer me."
The thing's mouth opened, impossibly wide. I saw deep into its throat, saw more branches, saw pine needles, saw something moving in there. Something pale and segmented, like a grub.
Jack, drive!
I slammed the cruiser into reverse and hit the gas. The tires spun in the dirt. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, watching me go, still smiling with too many teeth. Its hand pressed against my window, hard enough to leave streaks. Not handprints. Sap. I made it back to Route 9. Moreno met me at the BP station 15 minutes later. He pulled up next to my cruiser and got out. Looked at my window. Saw the sap streaks. He didn't ask what I saw. He just looked at my notepad in my hand and nodded. I didn't remember pulling it from the glove box, but there it was. Small, black, my handwriting. It's been calling for 30 years, he said. Maybe longer. Why doesn't anyone remember? I don't know, but I found my own notes 6 years ago. He pulled out a similar notepad, same handwriting, same warnings. We think it does something, changes something. You forget the details. You forget the calls. But the logbook, you forget that too. By next week, you won't remember any of this. He met my eyes. That's why we write it down. That's why I put the notepad in your glove box 3 weeks ago, after the last time. The last time? He nodded. You've been out there 26 times in 5 years, Jack. 26 times. Every time, you forget. I opened the notepad with shaking hands, flipped through the pages. Dates, times, descriptions of calls. All of them to Barren Road. All of them in my handwriting. June 3rd. It wore someone's face tonight. Someone I knew. Charlie Simmons from high school. Charlie died in 2003. August 17th. It spoke with my daughter's voice. Asked me why I never visit. Sarah lives in California. I visit twice a year. September 22nd. It let me go again. It always lets me go. I think it's waiting for something. The last entry was dated 3 weeks ago. It told me I'm almost done. It knows I'm retiring. It knows new cops are coming. I looked at Moreno. Have you told anyone? The chief? The state police? I've tried. They don't remember either. Or they think I'm fucking crazy. Or... He stopped, looked away. Or they already know. And they send us anyway. That's insane. Is it? Think about it, Jack. How many small-town cops have disappeared over the years? How many of them were last seen responding to calls on empty roads? How many investigations went nowhere because there was no evidence? No witnesses? No body? I didn't want to think about it. Go home, Moreno said. Get some sleep. Write everything down while you remember it. Hide it somewhere you'll find it. Because in a few days, this is all gonna feel like a fucking dream. In a few days after that, you won't remember it at all. He was right. By the end of that week, the details had started to blur. By the end of the month, I couldn't remember why I'd written those notes. They felt like someone else's handwriting, someone else's paranoia. But I kept the notepad, and I started carrying it with me, every shift. I retired 4 months later, moved to a town 3 hours south, somewhere flat, somewhere without tall pines and back roads that go nowhere. I thought I was done. Thought moving away would be enough. For a while, it was. I got a job doing security at a shopping mall. Easy work. Boring, even. No radios, no dark roads, no things that pretend to be human. I tried to forget Pine Hollow, tried to forget Barren Road, and the thing in the trees. Some nights I could almost convince myself it had been stress, exhaustion, the burnout that comes with 23 years on the force. But I kept the notepad. I don't know why. I sat in my dresser drawer for 3 months, untouched, unread. Then last week, I was getting gas at a station off the highway. Small place. One of those combination gas stations and convenience stores that dot rural areas. The guy that still has radio scanners behind the counter. I was paying for my coffee when I heard it. Pine Hollow Dispatch. A call to Barren Road. Injured person. Unable to move. Caller disconnected. My hands were shaking. The clerk noticed me. You alright, man? I didn't answer. I was listening to the scanner. A young voice responded. Unit 17. Fresh out of the academy, probably. Eager. Confident.
10-4 dispatch, en route.
I grabbed my phone and called the Pine Hollow station. The line rang. And rang. When someone finally picked up, it was a voice I didn't recognize. Pine Hollow Police, non-emergency line. I need you to pull Unit 17 off a call to Barren Road, right now. Sir, I can't discuss active calls with... My name is Jack Mercer. I retired from your department 4 months ago. Badge number 2847. I need you to pull that unit off Barren Road immediately. Mr. Mercer, I'm gonna have to ask you to... Listen to me. That rookie's driving into something he doesn't understand. Something that'll fucking kill him if you don't pull him back right now. Sir, if you continue to interfere with police operations... I hung up, called Moreno. His phone went straight to voicemail. I stood there in that gas station parking lot, holding my phone, listening to the scanner. The rookie reached the scene, reported a single subject standing on the shoulder. No vehicle visible. He was using the same calm, professional tone I'd used. The same protocols. The same procedures that meant nothing out there.
The subject appears to be injured. I'm approaching on foot.
I wanted to scream. I wanted to reach through the radio and pull him back. To help.
Dispatch, subject is... Dispatch, something's wrong.
Static. Just static. I waited. Listened. The dispatcher called for the rookie. Once. Twice. Then 3 times. And still, no response. 20 minutes later, I heard Moreno's voice on the scanner. He'd arrived at the scene. Found the cruiser. Doors locked. Engine still running. Spotlight still on. No sign of the rookie. I drove back to Pine Hollow that night. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I could help. Maybe I thought I owed it to that kid. Maybe I just needed to see one more time. To know that I wasn't crazy. Moreno met me at the station. He looked like he'd aged 10 years since I'd retired. His name was Daniel, Moreno said. 22 years old. First solo shift. He had a wife. Baby on the way. Did you find anything? Just footprints, leading from his cruiser into the trees. Then, they stopped, like he vanished mid-step. Same as the others? He nodded. Yeah, the same. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Moreno spoke. I'm putting in for retirement. I can't do this anymore, Jack. Can't keep watching kids get sent out there. I tried. Showed him my notes. Showed them your notes. The chief looked at me like I'd lost my damn mind. Said stress does things to people. Offered me a psychologist. 2 weeks paid leave. They know. I said. They have to know. Maybe. Or maybe they forget too. Maybe whatever's out there makes everyone forget. Except the ones who've seen it up close. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I want it to be true. Because if it is, then there's no stopping it. No warning to the next person. No breaking of the cycle. I still have the notepad. I've made copies now. Mailed them to the state police, the FBI, the newspapers. None of them have responded. I still listen to the scanner sometimes, waiting for the next call to Barren Road, waiting to hear another young voice respond with confidence and procedure, and no idea what he's walking into. It happened again 2 nights ago. Different rookie. Same road. Same call. Same result. If you work in law enforcement in rural areas, check your logbooks. Look for patterns. Look for roads you've been to more times than you remember. Check your glove box, your locker, anywhere you might have left yourself a warning. And if you ever get a call to a place where the pines grow too close and the fog swallows sound, don't answer it. Some things know how to ask for help. They just don't know how to be human when you get there. And they're very, very patient. Missing persons cases are supposed to end with answers. This one ends with fire and the realization that some cities rot from underneath. Next, a detective who finds out what happens when the forgotten start moving together. I've been a detective with the Philadelphia PD for 17 years. I worked homicides, missing persons, organized crime. I've seen things that would make most people quit the force, but nothing prepared me for what I found in the Kensington Hollow district last month. I'm writing this because I need someone to know, in case I'm wrong about what I did, in case it comes back. The disappearances started in late September. Over 3 weeks, 11 people vanished from a 6-block radius in Hollow, an abandoned industrial district the city had been trying to redevelop for years. The area was a graveyard of old textile factories and warehouses, most of them condemned. Normally, missing persons from Hollow wouldn't get much attention. People drifted in and out like ghosts. But 11 in 3 weeks was unusual. And there was something else. Every single one had been reported by the same person. Raymond Torres ran a soup kitchen out of a converted garage on Frankfurt Avenue, right on the edge of Hollow. He had been feeding the neighborhood's homeless population for 5 years. When he came to the station for the 4th time in 2 weeks, my lieutenant finally assigned the case to me. Detective Reeves, Raymond said when I met him in the interview room. He was a thin Hispanic man in his 50s, with gray streaking through his black hair and worry lines carved deep around his eyes. "Thank you for seeing me." He pulled out a worn manila folder and spreaded photos across the table. Polaroids mostly. Candid shots of people eating in his kitchen. Teresa Vaughn disappeared September 23rd. She came every morning at 6:30, like clockwork. She'd been clean for 8 months, working to get her daughter back from foster care. He moved to the next photo. David Seal, September 25th, 62, diabetic. Came in for the low-sugar meals his condition needed, waiting for a bed at Spring Street Shelter. Raymond went through each photo with the same detail. Angela Martinez, a former nurse 2 months into a methadone program. James Sullivan, a veteran with PTSD. Kelly Morrison, a 19-year-old trying to get her GED. "These aren't just statistics," I said. "They're people, Detective. They have lives, goals, and they wouldn't just abandon all of that. I know what the department thinks, but I've been doing this for 5 years. I know the difference between someone moving on and someone disappearing." "You said they all lived in Hollow?" "Slept there, in old factories. There's a community, and they look out for each other." "And you haven't seen any of them since they disappeared?" Raymond hesitated. "No, but others have. Some folks who come to the kitchen said they saw the missing people in Hollow at night, walking toward the old Monarch Textiles building on Lehigh Avenue. Just walking, not talking, not responding when people called out to them." I wrote it down, though it sounded like unreliable witness accounts. "Anything else unusual?" Raymond met my eyes. "The dogs won't go near Hollow anymore. Not for the past month. And there's a smell. People say it started around the same time. It gets stronger at night." "What kind of smell?" Sweet. like rotting fruit, but worse, heavier. I promised to look into it, expecting to find nothing. Maybe discover the missing people that turned up in other shelters, and then close the case. That's how things usually went. I drove to Hollow the next afternoon. Block after block of boarded up buildings, windows like empty eye sockets. Graffiti covered every surface. The streets were cracked and overgrown with weeds. I passed maybe 3 people, all watching my car with dead eyes. The Monarch Textiles building dominated the corner of Lehigh and Jasper. 6 stories of red brick, windows shattered or covered with plywood. The main entrance was chained shut, but someone had cut through the fence around the back. I parked and got out. The air had a stillness that felt wrong for a city. No traffic sounds, no voices, just silence. And underneath that silence, a smell. Faint, but definitely there. Sweet and cloying, like Raymond had said. It reminded me of finding a dead rat in my apartment air vent. Similar, but different. More organic. I called out, identifying myself as police. No response. I squeezed through the gap in the fence and approached the loading dock. The metal door was ajar. I should have called for backup, but I was doing preliminary investigation. I pulled the door open wider. The smell was much stronger inside. I pulled my shirt over my nose and took out my flashlight. The loading area was empty, except for old pallets and debris. My flashlight illuminated concrete floors, thick with dust and fabric scraps. But the fabric wasn't scattered randomly. It was arranged, piled in specific locations, mounted against the walls, like nests. The main floor was vast, support columns rising to a barely visible ceiling, more fabric everywhere. The smell was overwhelming. I gagged and almost turned back. That's when I heard it, a sound from above, wet, rhythmic, like someone chewing.
This is the police,
I called out. My voice echoed strangely.
I need you to show yourself.
The chewing stopped. I stood there, hand on my holster, every instinct screaming at me to leave. Then, from above, shuffling, multiple feet moving in unison. Not running, not walking normally, just shuffling with a strange mechanical rhythm. I found the stairwell and started climbing. 2nd floor, empty. 3rd floor, the same. But the fabric was arranged in concentric circles around a hole in the floor. A deliberate hole, edges smooth, about 3 feet across. 4th floor, the shuffling stopped. 5th floor, that's where I found the first shoe. Woman's sneaker, pink and white, worn at the heel. I recognized her from Raymond's photos. Teresa Vaughn had been wearing shoes like that. Then her jacket folded neatly. Then her wallet, standing upright. Not dropped, but seemingly arranged. I followed the trail down the hallway. More items appeared. David Seal's wallet, Angela Martinez's jacket, James Sullivan's veteran ID, all in a neat line, like breadcrumbs. The trail led to a door at the end. Unlike the others, this one was closed. The smell was strongest here. I could hear breathing behind the door, multiple things breathing in perfect synchronization. I drew my weapon and opened the door. The room was large, probably an old office space. Daylight streamed through unboarded windows. They stood in rows, maybe 20 people, all facing the far wall. They swayed slightly, moving side to side in a synchronized rhythm. Some I recognized from Raymond's photos. Teresa in the front row, barefoot, David Seal beside her. Angela Martinez, James Sullivan, Kelly Morrison. They all wore the same expression, blank, empty, nothing behind their eyes.
Philadelphia police,
I said, my voice shaking.
I need everyone to turn around, slowly.
They didn't respond, just kept swaying, kept breathing in that synchronized rhythm. I moved closer.
Teresa Vaughn? David Seal?
Raymond Torres sent me to find you. At Raymond's name, David twitched. His head jerked slightly, then back. But he didn't turn around. I was close enough now to see the far wall. It was covered in fabric, but wet, pulsing. I could see veins running through it, throbbing with each synchronized breath. The fabric wasn't fabric. It was skin. Layers of molted skin, somehow still alive. And in the center, a hole, big enough for a person to fit through. Something pale and segmented coiled inside it. Jesus Christ, I whispered. That's when Teresa turned. Same face from the photo, but her eyes were milky white, clouded over like a corpse. And her mouth began to open, wider than it should have, jaw dislocating with small popping sounds. She took a step toward me, jerky, puppet-like movements. The others began to turn too, 20 pairs of dead eyes fixing on me. I backed toward the door. Stay where you are. They didn't stop. They moved in unison, stepped forward in perfect synchronization. And as they moved, their mouths opened wider, impossibly wide. I could see down their throats, see something moving. Something that wasn't human. Something coiling up from their stomachs. I ran. I took the steps 3 at a time. Behind me, they followed. Not running, just walking with those mechanical steps, somehow keeping pace. Their footsteps echoed in perfect unison. I hit the ground floor and sprinted for the exit. My foot caught on fabric and I went down hard. My gun skidded across the concrete. I scrambled for it, hands closing around the grip just as the first one appeared at the bottom of the stairs. David Seal, or what had been him, the thing wearing his face tilted its head at an impossible angle. David? I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Raymond is worried about you. David's mouth opened, wider than Teresa's, wider than possible. The skin at the corner split, blood running down his chin, and something emerged from his throat. Long and pale and segmented, like a massive grub. It uncoiled from David's mouth, easily 6 feet long, thick as my arm. The surface glistened, covered in clear mucus. The end split open into a circular maw, ringed with hook-like teeth. The thing swayed, that circular mouth opening and closing, tasting the air. Then it oriented on me. The others were coming down the stairs, all of them, all with those things emerging from their mouths, pale bodies waving like obscene tongues. I fired, 3 shots center mass. David's body jerked backwards, but the thing kept moving, stretching toward me, its circular mouth opening wider. I fired again, hit the creature directly. It shrieked, a sound like metal scraping metal, and recoiled back into David's throat. His body crumpled. The others rushed forward. I emptied my magazine, hitting 2 more, then ran. I didn't stop until I was back at my car, doors locked, engine running. I called my lieutenant, told him I found the missing people and needed immediate backup. 6 units responded, tactical team, EMTs, the whole works. We went in together, weapons drawn. But the building, it was empty. No missing people, no bodies, no blood where I'd shot David. Just those personal items on the 6th floor, and a massive pile of something on the ground floor. The lab confirmed it. Organic material, human skin. Dozens of layers from different people, but hollow. No bodies inside, just the skin, peeled away and discarded like empty suits. We searched every building in Hollow over 3 days, found more molted skins, found drainage tunnels connecting all the buildings, big enough for a person to crawl through, found scratch marks on the tunnel walls, deep gouges in the concrete. But we never found the missing people. Raymond came to the station every day. On the 4th day, he pulled me aside. You saw them, didn't you? He said quietly. You saw what happened. Yeah, I saw them. Are they alive? I thought about those milky eyes, those puppet movements, Those things coiling from their throats. No. Whatever those things are now, they're not the people you knew. Raymond nodded slowly. Are we safe? I wanted to say yes, but I couldn't lie. I don't know. Over the next week, reports started coming in from other parts of the city. People acting strange, standing in groups, swaying, walking toward abandoned buildings. The department classified my report, put me on mandatory leave. They said I was experiencing stress-related hallucinations. That what I'd seen was squatters on drugs. They had explanations for everything. But I knew what I'd seen, and I knew what I had to do. I spent 2 weeks preparing, mapping tunnel systems under Hollow, buying gasoline. The night I went back, I left my wife Sarah a letter, explained everything, told her to leave Philadelphia if this went wrong. I brought 20 gallons of gasoline, started with the Monarch building, soaking every floor. I could hear them as I worked, that synchronized shuffling in the darkness. They knew I was there, but they didn't try to stop me. Then, the other buildings, one by one, 6 square blocks of abandoned factories. I lit the first match at dawn. The fire spread faster than I expected. The flames burned wrong colors, blues and greens mixed with orange and red, and the smell was indescribable. I heard them screaming as they burned. Not human screams. The same metal on metal shriek, multiplied, overlapping. I heard them screaming. The fire department responded, but by then, it was too late. The whole district was burning. It burned for 3 days. When it was finally out, nothing remained but ash and twisted metal. They haven't found bodies, not human ones. The investigators found remains, lots of them, but not human. Not anything in a biology textbook. They've sent samples to the CDC. No one can identify what they are. I turned myself in the day after, confessed to the arson. The trial starts in 2 months. But here's why I'm writing this. 3 days ago, I started seeing people at my precinct standing too still, swaying slightly. Yesterday, my partner mentioned a smell in the building. Sweet, he said, like rotting fruit. The precinct was built in 1962, right on top of old factory grounds. There's tunnels underneath. And this morning, I saw Raymond Torres on the news, reported missing. Last seen 3 days ago, walking toward an abandoned warehouse in Frankfurt. I think the fire didn't destroy them all. I think it just scattered them, sent them looking for new places to hide, new tunnels, new people to use as hosts. I think they've been under the city for a long time, maybe since the factories closed, using the forgotten people, the ones no one would miss. And now, they're spreading. I'm writing this from my cell in county jail. They put me in isolation. If you're reading this, and you start smelling something sweet in your neighborhood, if you see people swaying in groups with blank eyes, get out. Don't investigate. Don't try to help them. Just go as far and as fast as you can. And whatever you do, don't let them get close enough to open their mouths. I burned Hollow, and I'd do it again. Maybe I bought us some time. Maybe I just made things worse. But at least I tried. If they find me in my cell tomorrow with milky white eyes, my mouth hanging open, remember this. They can be killed. Fire destroys them. Complete immolation is the only thing that works. So if it spreads beyond Philadelphia, you know what to do. Burn it all. Don't hesitate. Don't try to save us. We're already gone. Our final story isn't about corruption or monsters in the woods. It's about a call that never existed, a town that shouldn't be there. And what happens when you realize You might be the thing keeping it real. I've been a state trooper for 12 years. I patrol Route 47 through the northern part of the state. Mostly empty highway cutting through farmland and forest. It's quiet work. The kind where you go hours without seeing another car. But the biggest excitement is usually a deer in the road, or a speeder doing 80 in a 65. Last month, I responded to a call that changed everything I thought I knew about my job, about reality itself. I'm writing this because I need to get it down while I still remember it clearly, while I still remember it all. Because parts of it are already starting to fade, like a dream slipping away in the morning light. And I think that's intentional. It started on October 17th, a Tuesday. Dispatch called me around 2 in the afternoon.
Unit 7, we got a welfare check request for 142 Maple Street, Stillwater. Caller reports not being able to reach her mother for 3 days.
I acknowledged and pulled up the address on my computer. Stillwater. Population 847, according to the last census. Small town, about 40 miles north of my usual patrol area, right off Route 47. I driven past the exit 100 times, but never had a reason to go in. The drive took about 30 minutes. The day was overcast, gray clouds hanging low enough that they seemed to touch the tops of the pine trees lining the highway. There was something oppressive about the light, or maybe the lack of it. Everything looked washed out, colorless. I took exit 34 and followed the access road towards Stillwater. The road curved through dense forest for about 2 miles before the trees opened up into farmland. I could see the town in the distance, a cluster of buildings centered around what looked like a main street, church steeple rising above it all. It looked normal, completely, utterly normal. I checked the address again, 142 Maple Street. I checked the address again, 142 Maple Street. The daughter who had called it in was named Jennifer Hartley, lived downstate, about 3 hours away. Her mother was Susan Hartley, 68 years old, lived alone since her husband died 5 years ago. Jennifer said she called her mother every Sunday evening. This past Sunday, no answer. Monday, no answer. Tuesday morning, still nothing. She tried the neighbors, but no one was picking up their phones either. Probably nothing. Elderly woman, maybe she'd fallen, or maybe she was sick. Small town, neighbors might still be at work. Standard welfare check. I drove down Main Street looking for Maple. The town was quiet. A few cars parked along the street, but no people visible. No one walking on the sidewalks. The stores looked open. I could see lights on in the diner, the hardware store, the pharmacy, but no one inside that I could see. It was early afternoon on a Tuesday. There should have been people. I found Maple Street and turned left. Residential neighborhood, modest house with small yards, leaves scattered across the lawns, a bike lying on its side in one driveway. Normal suburban decay. 142 was a pale blue house with white trim, single story, well maintained. A Toyota Camry sat in the driveway. I parked behind it and got out. The silence hit me immediately. No birds, no wind, no distinct traffic sounds or lawnmowers or dogs barking. Just silence, so complete it felt like pressure against my eardrums. I walked to the front door and knocked. State police, welfare check? No answer. I knocked again, louder. Waited. Nothing. I tried the door, unlocked. It swung open easily. Miss Hartley, this is State Trooper Brennan. Your daughter asked us to check on you? The interior was dim, curtains drawn. I could see a living room, furniture arranged neatly, TV on, but muted. The coffee table had a mug on it, still halfway full. A magazine lay open beside it. I stepped inside. The house had that particular stillness of a place where someone had just been, but wasn't anymore. You know the feeling, like you just missed them by seconds. Miss Hartley? I moved through the living room, into the kitchen. Clean dishes in the drying rack, a plate on the counter with toast crumbs. The refrigerator hummed quietly. I checked the bedrooms. The master bedroom had an unmade bed, clothes laid out on a chair, like someone was deciding what to wear. The bathroom had a damp towel hanging on the rack. No Miss Hartley. I went back outside and tried the neighbors. The house to the left, 140 Maple Street. Knocked. No answer. Tried the door. Locked. I peered through the window. Lights on inside. TV playing. No people. The house on the right, 144, same thing. Lights on. Signs of recent occupation. But no one was home. I walked back to my cruiser and radio dispatch. Unit 7 to dispatch?
Go ahead, 7.
Welfare check at 142 Maple Street is inconclusive. Residence appears lived in, but subject's not present.
Gonna check with local PD to see if they have any info.
Copy that. Stillwater PD is at 89 Main Street. I drove back to Main Street. The police station was a small brick building next to the post office. 2 cruisers parked out front. Lights on inside. I walked in. The front desk was empty. A computer screen glowed, displaying what looked like a dispatch software. A half-eaten sandwich sat on a paper plate next to a coffee mug that was still steaming. Hello? Stillwater PD? No answer. I could hear a radio somewhere in the back. Voices talking, but distant, indistinct. I went behind the desk and down a short hallway. 2 offices on the left, a break room on the right, a holding cell at the end. All empty. The radio sound was coming from one of the offices. I looked in. The radio was on, turned to what sounded like a state police frequency. Normal traffic. Units calling in, dispatch responding. But the office was empty. Coffee still hot in a mug on the desk. My jacket hanging on the back of the chair. I stood there for a long time, trying to make sense of it all. Then I walked back to my cruiser and drove down Main Street, looking for anyone. Anyone at all. The diner. I parked and went in. The bell above the door jingled. Inside, booths along the windows, counter with stools, kitchen visible in the back, food on plates at several tables, still warm. I touched one. A burger and fries, half eaten. A milkshake melting in its glass. Coffee pot on the burner, still hot. Grill in the kitchen, still on. A slight smell of burning where something had been cooking too long. But still, no people. I checked every business on Main Street. The hardware store had customers' items on the counter, mid-transaction, cash register open. The pharmacy had prescription bags ready for pickup, names on them, dates from today. The library had books on the returns card, computer stations logged in. Everywhere, evidence of people who had been there moments ago. Everywhere, there were no actual people. I got back to my cruiser and just sat there, trying to think. This was impossible. An entire town couldn't just vanish. There had to be an explanation. A fire drill? An evacuation? But there were no sirens, no notices, no signs of emergency. I radioed to dispatch again. Unit 7 to dispatch. I need you to patch me through to county.
What's the situation, 7?
I'm in Stillwater. The town's empty. I need to report a possible mass evacuation or emergency situation. There was a pause.
7, can you clarify? Empty how?
There's no people here. None. Signs of recent activity everywhere, but zero population visible. Another pause. Longer this time.
7, stand by.
I waited 5 minutes. 10. Then, dispatch came back.
7, county says there's no record of any emergency in Stillwater. No evacuation orders, no alerts, they're saying. They're saying they don't show Stillwater as having any active emergency services.
What does that mean?
I don't know. They're checking records. Stand by.
I got out of the cruiser and walked to the center of town. There was a small park there, gazebo in the middle, benches around it. I sat down on one of the benches and looked around. The town was perfect. Too perfect. Every building maintained, every lawn mowed, every street clean. No trash, no graffiti, no signs of decay. For a town of 847 people, it looked like a movie set. Like something designed to look like a small town, rather than actually being one. My radio crackled.
Unit 7, this is County Supervisor Mendez.
Go ahead, sir.
Trooper Brennan, can you confirm your current location?
I'm in Stillwater, sir. Center of town, near the park.
Trooper, I need you to look at your GPS coordinates and read them to me.
I checked my computer, read off the coordinates.
And you're certain you're in a town? With buildings, streets, infrastructure?
Yes, sir. Population sign at the town limit says 847. There was a long silence. Then,
Trooper Brennan, those coordinates put you in the middle of Millbrook State Forest. There's nothing there. No town, no roads, nothing but forest.
I looked around at the buildings, the church steeple, the parked cars. Sir, I'm looking at a town right now. I'm sitting on a bench in the town park.
I'm sending another unit to your location. Stay where you are. Don't go anywhere.
Yes, sir. I sat at the bench, waiting. The silence pressed in around me. That same complete absence of sound. No birds, no insects, no wind. Like the world was holding its breath. I started noticing other things, small details that were wrong. The church across the street, I could see it clearly, white clapboard with a tall steeple. But when I tried to read the sign out front, the letters seemed to blur, like looking at something through water. The cars parked along Main Street. I walked over to the nearest one, a red sedan, late model. I looked through the window. The interior was detailed, perfectly normal. Seats, dashboard, steering wheel. But when I tried to see the VIN through the windshield, it was just blank, a space where numbers should be. I walked to another car, same thing, perfect detail from a distance, but specifics disappeared when you looked closer. The houses, I could see them clearly. I described them in detail. When I tried to remember what color 142 Maple Street had been, the house I'd just been inside, I couldn't. I knew I'd seen it. I remembered going there. But the specific memory was slippery, fading. I went back to my cruiser and opened the computer, pulled up the call log. The address there was 142 Maple Street, Stillwater. But when I tried to look up Stillwater in the database, nothing came up. No records, no history, no info. I called dispatch again. Unit 7 to dispatch, can you pull up the original welfare check call? I need the callback number for Jennifer Hartley.
Stand by.
A minute later.
7, we don't have a record of that call.
What? You dispatched me to it 2 hours ago.
I'm looking at the log, 7. Your last call was a traffic stop on Route 47 at 11:30 this morning. Nothing since then.
I checked my own log. The welfare check was there, clear as day. Timestamp, address, caller info. But when I tried to read Jennifer Hartley's phone number, the digits seemed to shift, like they were moving. Dispatch, something's really wrong here.
Unit 12 is en route to your location. ETA 20 minutes.
I got out the cruiser and walked back to the park. I needed to think. I needed to figure out what the fuck was happening. That's when I noticed the sun, or rather, the lack of it. It had been overcast when I arrived, gray clouds covering the sky. But I'd been here for over 2 hours now. The light hadn't changed, at all. The same diffuse gray illumination, same shadowless quality, like time had stopped. I checked my watch, 4:47 p.m. I looked at my phone, 4:47 p.m. I counted 60 seconds in my head, watching the phone. When I finished counting, it still said 4:47 p.m. Time wasn't passing. I sat back down on the bench and tried to stay calm. There had to be an explanation. There had to be. I'm a rational person. I believe in evidence, in facts, in things that can be explained. This could be explained somehow. started thinking about Stillwater, really thinking about it. I've driven past exit 34 100 times. Had I never actually noticed it? Had I never thought about the town? Wondered what it was like? Considered stopping there? The answer's no. Not once. In 12 years of patrolling Route 47, I'd never given Stillwater a second thought. Had I known anyone from there? Had anyone ever mentioned it? Had I ever seen a Stillwater address on a license or registration? I couldn't remember. Couldn't recall a single specific instance. I pulled up my phone and searched for Stillwater. The results were strange. Generic info. The kind of vague details you find about any small town. Founded in 1872. Primary industries. Agriculture. Small manufacturing. Population 847. But no specific businesses. No local news. No social media posts from residents. Just generic facts that you could describe anywhere. I clicked on the Wikipedia article. It was short, barely a stub. Basic info, no sources cited. I clicked on the revision history. The article had been created 3 years ago. Only one edit since then. A minor grammar correction. 3 years ago. I looked at the town around me. The buildings, the cars, everything. It all looked established, lived in, decades old. But according to the only online record I could find, Stillwater had only existed digitally for 3 years. My radio crackled.
Unit 7, this is Unit 12. I'm at your coordinates. There's nothing here. Can you confirm your location?
I looked around. The town was still there. Solid. Real. Detailed. Unit 12, I'm in the center of Stillwater, sitting in the town park. You should see me.
7, I'm in the middle of the forest. There's no town here. There's no park. I don't see your vehicle.
I can see my vehicle from here. I'm sitting about 50 feet from it.
I'm gonna drive around the area. Stay on the radio.
I waited. I could hear the sound of his engine through the radio, but I couldn't hear it in the actual world around me. Just the same oppressive silence.
Unit 7, I circled the area. There's nothing here but trees. I'm gonna mark your last known GPS location and request additional resources.
I stood up and walked toward where I'd parked. My cruiser was there, exactly where I'd left it. I put my hands on the hood. Solid. Real. Warm from the engine. I got in and started driving. Down Main Street. Past the stores. Past the houses. Everything looked normal. I drove to the edge of town, where Main Street turned back into the county road, leading to Route 47. And then I was back in the center of town. I drove to the edge of town, where Main Street turned back into the county road, leading to Route 47. And then, I was back in the center of town. I hadn't turned around, hadn't made any turns at all. I'd driven straight, and somehow, I ended up where it started. I tried again. Same result. No matter which direction I drove, I ended up back in the center of Stillwater. I parked and got out, walked to the edge of town on foot. I could see the tree line, maybe a quarter mile away. I started walking toward it. Halfway there, I noticed something. The trees weren't getting closer. I was walking, covering ground, but the distance to the tree line wasn't changing. I stopped, marked where I was standing on the ground with a rock, walked another 100 yards, looked back. The rock was right next to me. I wasn't moving, or the town wasn't letting me move, or space itself somehow bent, folded, wrong. I went back to the cruiser and tried the radio again. Unit 7 to dispatch. I need to report my situation. Static, then faintly.
7, losing signal.
Dispatch, can you hear me? More static. Then, nothing. I tried my phone. No signal. Not even emergency calls. I stayed in the cruiser as the lights stayed the same, as 4:47 p.m. stretched on forever. And I started to understand. This wasn't a town. Not really. It was something else. Something that looked like a town. That functioned like a town. That had all the details of a town. But it wasn't real. It was a copy. A simulation. A trap. A trap for what? For whom? I thought about the welfare check, about Jennifer Hartley calling to check on her mother, about being dispatched here, about how dispatch had no record of the call. Had there ever been a call? Had there ever been a Jennifer Hartley? Or had I always been here? I tried to remember my morning, driving Route 47, regular patrol, stopping for coffee at the rest stop on exit 29. The taste of it, slightly burnt, too much cream. The way the sun had been shining through the window at the gas station. But when I tried to hold on to those memories, they slipped away, like trying to remember a dream. I knew they happened. I could describe them, but they felt distant, unreal. I checked the log again. My last entry before the welfare check was a traffic stop at 11:30 a.m. I pulled over a blue Honda doing 73 in a 65. Driver's name was Michael. I had given him a warning. I tried to picture the guy's face, but I couldn't. Tried to remember the exact location of the stop. I couldn't. The memory was there, logged, documented, but it felt hollow, like someone had told me about it rather than actually experiencing it. How long had I been here? I looked at my watch again, still 4:47 p.m. I got out of the cruiser and walked back to 142 Maple Street. Went inside. The house was exactly as I'd left it. Mug still half full on the coffee table. Magazine still open. Damp towel in the bathroom. I looked at the magazine. It was a home decorating magazine, open to an article about kitchen renovations. The text was there, readable. But when I tried to read the whole sentence, the words seemed to rearrange themselves. I could read individual words, but they wouldn't form coherent thoughts. I went to the bookshelf in the living room. Dozens of books, all with titles looking normal. I pulled out one, The Great Gatsby, opened it. The pages had text, but it was nonsense. Random words strung together. Or maybe not random. Maybe they meant something, but not in any language I understood. I checked the other books. Same thing. The appearance of books, but no actual content. Just the idea of content. I went into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. Food inside. Milk, eggs, leftovers in containers. I opened the milk. It smelled like milk. When I looked at the expiration date, it was blank. When I tried to pour it, nothing came out. The carton was empty. Everything in Stillwater was like that. Perfect from a distance. Detailed enough to seem real. But hollow when examined closely. A facade. A set piece. I walked back outside and stood in the middle of Maple Street. The silence pressed down on me. No birds. No wind. No life. Just me. In this empty, perfect town that wasn't even really there. Then I started to wonder, was I really there? I looked down at my hands, solid, detailed, real. I could feel the rough fabric of my uniform, the weight of my duty belt, the ache in my feet from walking. I was real. It had to be. But then again, everything else in Stillwater felt real too. Until you looked too close. I tried to remember my childhood, growing up in Connecticut, my parents' house, my brother. I could see it all. I could describe it. But when I tried to remember specific moments, specific conversations, they dissolved, like fog in sunlight. I tried to remember my wife. I was married. I knew I was married. Her name was... I couldn't remember her name. I couldn't see her face. Sort of. I could remember the feeling of being married. But specifics? Details? They weren't there. I checked my wallet. My driver's license with my name. Michael Brennan. Date of birth. Address. I couldn't read the address. The letters were there, but they wouldn't resolve into meaning. Credit cards, pictures, all there, all detailed, all hollow. I sat down on the curb and put my head in my hands. If Stillwater wasn't real, if it was some kind of cosmic trap, or a pocket dimension, or impossible place, then what was I? Was I the real Michael Brennan? Somehow just caught here? Or was I part of the trap? Another detail, another facade, another hollow copy. The light outside hadn't changed. 4:47 p.m. I'd been here for hours now. Or had I? Maybe time worked differently here. Maybe I'd been here for years, decades. Maybe I'd always been here. I stood up and screamed, just enough to hear a sound to break the oppressive silence. My voice echoed strangely, bouncing off the buildings in ways that didn't make sense acoustically. And then I heard something else. Footsteps behind me. I turned around. A woman stood there, elderly, white hair, kind face. She wore a cardigan and slacks. She smiled at me. "Hello, officer," she said. "I'm Susan Hartley. I understand you've been looking for me?" I stared at her. She looked real, solid, three-dimensional. She cast a shadow, even in this shadowless light. "Miss Hartley?" I said carefully. "Your daughter was worried about you." "Oh, Jennifer. She always worries. I'm fine, as you can see. Just been busy. I should call her." She seemed completely normal, completely unconcerned, like nothing was wrong. "Miss Hartley, have you noticed anything strange about the town today?" She tilted her head, considering. "Strange how?" "The quiet, the empty streets, the way time isn't passing." She smiled, that same kind of smile. "Time passes differently in all towns, officer. We're used to quiet here. It's peaceful." "Where is everyone else?" "Around here and there. People like to keep to themselves here." I looked at her carefully. What's the date today, Mrs. Hartley?" "October 17th. "What year?" Her smile didn't falter. "Why? What year do you think it is?" "That's not an answer." "Isn't it?" She took a step closer. "You seem troubled, officer. Could I help you with something?" "I need to leave. I need to get back to Route 47. "You can leave whenever you want. No one's keeping you here." "I've tried. I keep ending up back in the center of town." "Perhaps you're not really trying to leave. Perhaps you want to stay." "Why would I want to stay here?" "Because here, you exist. Out there..." She gestured vaguely at the trees in the distance. "Out there, do you?" Mrs. Hartley's smile grew wider, too wide, impossibly wide. Her face didn't change, but somehow the smile stretched beyond what a human face would allow. "You drove past exit 34 100 times, officer. But you never noticed Stillwater. No one notices Stillwater. Because Stillwater isn't there. It's a gap. A space between. A gap needs to be filled." "Filled with what?" "With whatever falls into them." She took another step closer. "You were driving Route 47. Normal patrol. Nothing special about the day. And you blinked, and suddenly there was a call. A welfare check. An address you'd never heard of in a town you'd never been. And you didn't question it, because the idea was already there, already complete. Jennifer Hartley, Susan Hartley, 142 Maple Street, all of it perfect and detailed and real. Except it's not real. It's real enough to trap a consciousness, real enough to give you a purpose, Real enough to keep you here. Her eyes were kind, sympathetic. You're the detail that makes Stillwater real, officer. Before you, it was just potential. Just an idea. But now you're here, observing it, experiencing it, making it real by your presence. I backed away from her. I'm leaving. You can't leave. There's nowhere to leave to. The world outside Stillwater, your memories of it, they're fading. They'll keep fading until there's nothing left but here. And you'll be Stillwater's police officer forever, driving the same empty streets, checking the empty houses, living the same moment over and over. Unit 12 is looking for me. Is he? Mrs. Hartley's smile was gentle now. Or did you create Unit 12? Did you create Dispatch? Create County Supervisor Mendez? Create a whole world of radio voices and protocols and procedures because you needed them to be real? Because otherwise, you'd have to face the truth. What truth? That you were never real to begin with. She spread her hands. You're a detail, officer. A piece of Stillwater, like the diner, like the church, like me. You're what Stillwater needed to be complete. A witness, an observer, someone to walk the empty streets and knock on the empty doors and make it all mean something. I felt dizzy. The world seemed to tilt. No, I have memories. I have a life. I'm Michael Brennan. I've been a state trooper for 12 years. Have you? Can you remember a single specific day? A single real conversation? Or is it all just a feeling of having memories? The idea of a past, as hollow as the books on Susan Hartley's shelf? I tried to remember. I really tried. My first day on the job. My wedding day. My 10th birthday. Christmas last year. Anything specific. Anything real. All I could find were impressions, feelings, the ghosts of memories that might never have existed. Miss Hartley watched me with infinite patience. It's all right, she said softly. This is where you belong. This is what you are. Stillwater's eternal guardian, walking its perfect streets, keeping its perfect order. Isn't that better than not existing at all? I looked around at the town. Perfect, pristine, empty, frozen at 4:47 p.m. forever. And I made a choice. I walked past Miss Hartley, back to my cruiser. I got in, started the engine, and I drove. I drove toward the tree line, watching it stay distant, watching it refuse to get closer. I kept driving, and I kept my foot on the gas, and I drove into forever, into the impossibility of it, refusing to turn around, refusing to end up back in the center of town. The trees stayed distant. The town stayed visible in my rearview mirror, but I kept driving. I don't know how long I drove. Time wasn't passing anyway. But eventually, something changed. The light shifted, just slightly, from gray to a slightly darker gray, and then darker still. 4:48 p.m. The trees were closer, just a little. I could see individual branches now, not just distant mass. I pressed harder on the gas. The engine roared. The speedometer climbed. The tree line grew closer. The town behind me began to fade, going translucent, like mist. And then I was in the forest, with real trees, real ground, real air. My cruiser bounced over rough terrain, branches scraping the sides. I slammed on the brakes. I sat there breathing hard and looked around. Forest. Just forest. There wasn't a town. No streets. No Miss Hartley. My radio crackled.
Unit 7, this is Unit 12. Found your vehicle. You alright?
I grabbed the radio. I'm here. I'm okay.
Jesus, Brennan. What happened? Your GPS signal just vanished for 3 hours. Yeah, search and rescue looking for you.
3 hours? I looked at my watch. 5:47 p.m. I don't know, I said. I got turned around. I'm fine now. I drove out of the forest, following Unit 12's directions, and got back on Route 47. That night, I checked every database I could access. There's no town called Stillwater. There never was. Exit 34 leads to a forest access road. Nothing more. There's no 142 Maple Street. There's no Susan Hartley. No Jennifer Hartley. The welfare check call never existed. I should be relieved. I escaped. I'm back in the real world. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. I can't remember my wife's name. I can't remember specific days from my childhood. I can't recall a single detailed memory from before October 17th. And when I look at my hands and my face in the mirror, sometimes they seem less than solid. Sometimes I feel like a photograph, a two-dimensional image, pretending to be three-dimensional. Sometimes I catch myself thinking in loops, saying the same things I said yesterday, driving the same routes, having the same thoughts. And sometimes, late at night, I smell something floral and sweet, and I hear Mrs. Hartley's voice. I'm writing this down because I need to know what happened. I need proof that I experienced something, that I made a choice, that I am real. But when I read it back, the words seem to shift, like they mean something different than what I wrote. Like they're hollow. Like I'm hollow. Exit 34 is still on Route 47. I drive past it every day on patrol. And every time I do, I have to fight the urge to take it, to go back to Stillwater, to walk those perfect empty streets, to let Miss Hartley smile at me and tell me what I am. Because at least there, in that impossible place, I had purpose. And out here, in the real world, I'm not sure I exist at all.
If you want more stories, I post 2 exclusive stories every month over on Patreon. There's also a growing library of Patreon-only stories, hours of extra content that you won't hear anywhere else. It's also the best way to support the show. Link is in the description.